When you called her a virgin, that's her face. Look at her! All right, guys, we got a fantastic video for you here today. But here's my returning guest. What up, Des?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You all right?
Yeah.
You ready to get another one done?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
We came across this video. Shout out to Jesse Lee Peterson, one of the oldest yet most consistent trolls that exist across the internet. And he was at a rally. He was at a march. And he was asking young ladies, why are you a slut? Okay, it was a slut walk. Anything to say before we get started?
No. Let's get into it.
Without further ado.
We are all sluts. You're a slut. All these dudes behind you are sluts. Your cameraman's a slut. Your PA's a slut. And your mic's a slut.
And what
Wow.
made you a slut?
Because I own my body. My body is not a political playground. It's not a place for legislation. It's mine and it's my future. And
How old are you?
grown. Grown.
Grown. And so you sleep around with a lot of men.
No, actually, I'm a virgin.
You're a virgin?
Yeah.
So you're not a slut.
Yes, you can be a slut. Because a slut is not what you made it, Jesse. A slut is what I made it. A boss, getting money, taking the mic, turning life around, taking over Hollywood.
So you are still a virgin, but yet you call yourself a slut.
It wouldn't matter. I'm saying it doesn't matter if I'm a virgin. It doesn't matter what a woman's sexual history is. A slut is just a word that you and your fellow penises made. A slut. Your mama's a slut.
Oh, wow.
Your grandma's a slut.
Wow.
Everybody.
Is your mother a slut?
No, but yours is.
Your mother's not a slut?
No.
Well, you said every woman's a slut.
Everybody.
Well, why your mother is not a slut?
You are a slut. Not my mother in particular is not a slut, but a slut is a word for anybody who's owning their sexuality, turning up, and not letting Jesse twist their answers around.
Just real quick, listen. This is hilarious, number one.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it going in here. So there's like a minute left of the clip. Do you think that words matter?
Yes.
So,
Oh, to an extent.
okay, so this term of being a slut, right? In the traditional sense of the word, it has to do with doing dealings with a harlot, right? Doing dealings with a
harlot?
a lady with a scarlet letter,
Okay.
worn across her chest, okay? Has to do with dealing, perhaps a streetwalker.
Being a hoe.
Being a hoe, okay? All of these different things like that, right?
Okay.
However, we have a sect of women that want to remove the shame behind the word, to remove the punch behind it, so to speak. And then there was walks established, and one of the most popular ones, it wasn't started by Amber Rose, but Amber Rose kind of made it into popularity, which is a slut walk. My assumption that this is a slut walk right here. I remain in contention that words matter, but I think that people can use the powerful words to demonize those that may not actually fit the true identity of whatever it is that they're trying to say.
Okay.
So when I say that, do you think that words matter? And you say that yes, but not really. Help me understand that.
Like slut, when I was in school, that was not a good word. Like that was just not a word that you would want to be called. If you were called it, probably got your feelings hurt, or you were doing your due diligence on why you were called that word. So I don't know. I for it to be Women's History Month and they're doing a slut walk. Well, yeah, I don't know. Because last year during everything with the protests, like we did a women's walk, and that is owning your body and owning your mind and all of what she's saying. But I wouldn't have said that was a slut walk. Like, I don't know, the whole slut walk thing. Would I attend a slut walk? No, because I feel like I can prove and show and justify who I am as a woman without that. like we did in the Black Women's March. Like,
So why do you think that it's important to remove the power behind what this word is? Because I think that is
the point of why
is the point of why they're doing it. But you know, she's trolling a bit, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of truth behind her words from the way that she speaks it.
Yeah.
In a sense that it doesn't matter.
Who
You're
you
a
are,
slut. I'm a
everybody
slut.
can be a slut.
Your mic's a slut. Your grandmother's a like, you know, and all these different things like that. But I think, like, here's the thing, is that the word, although it can be misused, and I will say that, to give to those as a terminology that when they may or may not actually fit what it is. But I think that outside of the misuse of the word, having words that can shame those from ill-advised behavior, I think is important. And what I also think that a component of this is saying that being a harlot is not ill-advised behavior. And I think that's my particular position on it, and that's what I'm an issue. That's what I have an issue with it as well. Because like in 2021, I got to get your response and reaction to this. Mm-hmm. There's an idea that was started decades ago of a women's sexual liberation movement, and it's gone from that to Cardi B having her WAP touch the floor ever so slightly as she bounces up and down for young women to see and then emulate. So I think like to go from much more of a traditional mindset of covering up to a much more modern mindset of twerking and showing and sticking, flicking, licking, like, you know, whatever it is that they talk about in these songs, I think removes the perceived shame out of what that is, that, you know, being a thought is okay, and in fact it's kind of not admonished in the community as much as what it should be. So I got to hear some more of your thoughts regarding kind of the state of the union today.
The state of the union. I mean, I don't know, the way she's saying like the slut thing, like you're a slut, your mic's a slut, like at this point, yeah, you are trying to take the definition away of what the slut actually means. But in regards to a traditional back in the day versus, like you said, how Cardi B and who else is on there? Megan Thee Stallion or
there's a bunch of hip hop artists that appropriate
sex and
they appropriate sexual liberation in order to make a dollar. It's for economic impact. And my argument is that I think that enslaves women more. I think that the idea that they have to be sexy and show it, they're more of a slave to that. And then outside of that, generally, while digital media is a good advertising piece for yourself, I think if mismanaged, it could be done in a way to reduce the amount of potential suitors that you might actually be interested in.
When you're saying like they become a slave to the over sexualizing,
yes,
I think it's a choice. So you're becoming, it's like pro-choice on,
it is
you know, versus you being thrown into it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, it's a choice, but it's also not demonized as much because of movements like this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like the whole showing my vagina to the world, or, I mean, even that picture I just showed you, like, that's big for me. Mind you guys, I was in a swimsuit, but
maybe I can put that up on the screen and let them.
Maybe not, but yeah, I was in a swimsuit, and that was like, I felt almost provocative in that way. So I can only imagine like me talking about. I mean, I'm very open with my sex life. You know, for the very little that I do have of it anymore.
That's what they all say. What was that J. Cole song? You always gotta multiply by 3.
It used to be popping, I will say, but now it's
what
very
used to
seldom. My sex life.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so
nonetheless.
So let me ask you your perspective as well. Like, you know, like what do you? Because here's the thing: is that like we talked about drinking earlier. Actually, before we got up on here, we were talking about drinking in the sense of. That I think one of the major negative effects of drinking within me is that when I do drink, I get a dopamine hit. But I think afterwards, the day after, and maybe even the day after that, I encounter like a slump, so to speak. And I think it's because the dopamine is rushing in, right? Mm-hmm. The serotonin is rushing in and flooding my mind with like all of these good feeling, and then you're trying to get back to that status, or your body's trying to get back to that status, and then eventually, you know, people who don't understand what's happening eventually become alcoholics, right? Because they can't stop the motion of that feel good, right? And they're not willing to deal with the hangover feeling, or don't want to deal with the slump that they're in, so they continue on drinking.
Yeah.
I think social media to a degree has a same type of effect, because posting up, been working on your body, post up a photo, and there's a dopamine effect by each like that you get, because it is ascending you to another level of validation and affirmation that maybe you didn't have prior to doing that. But I think that it's like also similar to like when, you know, people watch porn and they want more, and they keep watching it year after year after year, and they're going deeper into the rabbit hole of the dark part of the internet that you can buy illegal drugs off of to find a fix. You know what I'm saying? But I think modern women today often can fall victim and to the to this new culture of liberation and being you know, slave to showing for the dopamine hits, and then find themselves up in the ante as time goes on. I think that's also why we get so many of these Instagram challenges and stuff like that. And it seems like the new one, every new one that comes out is, you know, red light dancing naked to, what was that other one where you look normal and then you drop down and then they start twerking on
the busset one?
Yeah, the busset one. So like all these things that happen, right? So like I'm just trying to understand from...
I mean, yeah, I do feel like women now are more over-sexualized, I guess, because we make it that way as a whole. We kind of want the attention. I guess it's like if we're going to get the attention, we might as well have the choice to be like, okay, well, I made myself accessible to get that type of attention, I guess, because we're going to get it anyways.
So when you say we're going to get it anyways, I don't know if that's true, because I think that you can get it, but the thought is that it wouldn't get as many likes as the friends that you see that take it up to another level. And because then you're comparing yourself, because you're quantifying yourself against other folks.
Social media is definitely, I will say, like even YouTube, like all of this social media stuff, like it is definitely not healthy.
I think it's way more not healthy for women.
Why?
Because of everything we just went over. Yeah, because like...
I mean, men can be naked too, and they're looking for attention, and they're looking for validation, and they're looking for, is my chest big enough? Are my arms big enough? And then you're in those little tighty shit trying to see if is my
I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying not as much as for women.
Okay.
Because, like, look at our media. Our media is not telling us to get naked on Instagram. Our media is not telling us to sign up for OnlyFans. There's no... I mean, count the amount of women's strip clubs in this area versus men's strip clubs. Yeah. Right? So, like, there's an added pressure on women to conform to the norm within culture today or society today to be normal. Right? Like, normal. Whatever normal is defined by the society, by the culture. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, you know, and they got different culture, different customs. If shit like that is done, it is deemed as disrespectful. But those are much more patriarchal societies, right? So it's a whole different culture and society.
I think here in America, we as women back in the day were so quiet, housewives, not doing anything. It was a man's world, and I think that owning our sexuality is a way for women to be heard or be seen.
You think it worked?
Yeah. Did it work in the most positive light? Not necessarily. Obviously not. Everybody is talking about WAPs and stuff, so it's obviously not the most positive thing, but I definitely think it's very efficient. I think women are more looked at, more seen, more heard.
So being digital makes it efficient, is what you mean?
Yeah. If it wasn't for social media, women...
But is it better for the psyche of modern women?
No,
and that's what I'm trying to get at.
Everybody's fucked up. Everybody is. Men and women, I think, mentally. Honestly. Because these men... Like, I'll see men, like... Okay, so maybe... I don't know. Like, men will just like a bunch of naked women's pictures online, but they'll be like, oh, I would never date her though.
That's probably
you're
true.
Super into her being all super sexy, or you're watching this porno, but you're like, oh, I would never date her, or you're at the strip club, oh, I would never date her.
Yes.
But you're feeding
the machine.
Literally,
so
like constantly putting money in the vending machine, and then you're receiving something from it, but then you're like, oh no, you want these chips because I don't want them.
Well, here's the thing. I think like in order to change it, it has to start with the men. Because to your point, I agree with you. I think men are feeding the beast. Yeah. They're feeding the machine.
And you're like, oh, you think I'm cute? Bet. Wait till I take my shirt off.
Right.
Shit like that.
All right. And then they got their mammary glands all over the internet. But see, here's the thing is that, here's what I say on the channel is that like, if there's going to be any change within it, because I think a lot of men feed the engine that women are that they complain about. Because you're right. The liking of a big booty photo gets the validation from that young woman. Mm-hmm. But then that young woman then goes and takes that forward and thinks that that is her relationship market value.
Right.
And that's not. That's her, I want to be inside your viscous innards market value, right? Your sexual market value.
Yeah.
And I think that there's easily a confusion there. But then in order to continue to get those level of likes, she's got to keep on doing the same things, if not up the ante into the future. Mm-hmm. And I actually think a lot of that is what is leading to this sudden uptick increase that's correlated between the advent of Web 2.0 and, unfortunately, the suicide rate with young women. I think that there's a correlation there.
With this, yeah, maybe a little bit. With you said the suicide of young women. I mean, I can only imagine. Bullies are terrible because I used to get bullied when I was younger. I mean, it wasn't to a high extent, but you know, if I
you strike me as more of a bully.
No, I know I'm not shit now, but I promise you.
She be bullying me. You know what I'm saying?
Back to the slut. Back to the slut walk. Yeah. He deserves to get bullied. But
yeah, sure.
So let me ask. I noticed are you dressed slutty today?
No, I'm dressed like a woman.
What made you decide to come out looking like this? You look like a slut. Like what made you do it?
You look like a slut.
What made you dress?
What made you dress like this?
No, just answer that question.
All right, wait, hold up.
You look like a slut.
Hold up. Let's go back real quick because I think that is important.
Of what she's wearing.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Now, there used to be a time in history where I can walk on the street and look at two classes of lady. And I can be like, oh, that lady over there, she is apt to sell me her viscous innards. That lady over there, she is apt to take on a date, get to know her. Those were two different garbs, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You can spot them from a mile away.
I think her outfit, she's basically saying, like, I can own it. I can be sexy and it be okay. I think that's what she's...
I understand that, but now there is no difference between the harlot garb and the date potential garb.
She could not normally dress like that. And
so
you might
this is
see
for a
her...
statement?
Yes. Is it not?
What's the goal of the statement? Because here's the thing is that, like, as dudes, we're confused. Because I'm going to treat that differently than modest. Right? Yeah. Like, if I saw her out on the street, the words that will come out of my mouth will be a lot different than if she was dressed modestly.
See, that's something that I had to learn, too. Because when I was younger, you know, around that age, I guess 19, 20, 21, the tighter, the shorter it was, bitch, yes. Like, that I was like, oh, that's where I should be. But now that I'm nearing, you know, about to be 30, it's much different for me. Like, I'm like, oh, I'd put on some dude's clothes in a heartbeat to just be comfortable. Like, now it's more for comfortability. It's funny because, like, when I go out and it's cold as hell outside, like in the wintertime, and these young girls be having these skimpy ass dresses on. And I'm like, bitch, I know you cold. I know you cold, but you just want that type of attention. So I feel like maybe the majority of them at that slut walk, maybe they are pretty young and they're just trying to own their sexuality or understand their sexuality. She doesn't know much of her sexuality because she's still a virgin, so she hasn't experienced too much.
You believed her?
I'm saying from what the video said. She could be a virgin.
I'm gonna sell you some snake oil right after this. I'm gonna sell it to you for $1,000.
I'm saying though, she probably isn't, but I'm saying for the sake of the video, if she's, you know, she's probably just dabbling and trying to experience and understand who she is and who her sexual side is. Like for me, you know how I have these tattoos of all these women on me, like that. Her face.
Let's just that when you called her a virgin, that's her face. Look at her.
No, but like I have these like okay, so like the tattoos that I have on me, those for me are me owning my sensual sides, my you know, my fierceness of being a woman. Like those are ways that I present myself. Or
why do you think men find fierce women attractive?
No, I'm not just a fierce woman though.
No, but I'm saying, but you said the fierceness of women, right?
Yeah,
so like, but
there's different parts of all of us, like
right.
men and women. So I have to own all of it versus me just owning the, you know, back in the day in the traditional where people they just own their, you know, like if he's talking to me, I just sit down and shut up and I don't have anything to say back.
Do you think men want fierceness in women?
Yes, to an extent. I think they want them to own that within their independence, but I don't think they want it to be demonstrated towards them. Like I don't think the man wants the woman to demonstrate his fierceness towards him.
So when you say fierceness and independence, what does that mean?
Fierceness and independence would be you owning who you are, owning your mental capacity, owning your physical capacity, knowing what you're capable of doing, knowing your talents, knowing you're seeking after more education, building a better career for yourself, and being independent enough to know that that's enough for you, that you don't need a man, though you may really want one.
Okay. So you think that men want women that don't want a man?
No, I said need and want
or need a
things.
man.
Yes. I think men want women that do not need a man, because I have constantly heard from friends and even guys that I've dated where they're like, I don't want a woman to need me. I want her to be independent within her own self, but I also want her to want me, and when I'm able to give her the things, I want her to be appreciated of those things.
That's fair.
I definitely don't think that a man wants a needy woman. I don't want no needy man. I want you to have your shit together, but then when I'm able to give you certain things of myself, I want you to be appreciative of those things.
I'm glad you separated the fierceness of independence versus the fierceness of how to act towards said person, because here's the thing is that I think
like
aggressive. Well, here's the thing is that I think like there's a lot of people that live in this idea of this is the way I am, this is my truth, this is, I'm not changing for no man, I ain't changing for nobody. And often those are the young ladies that and dudes, right?
I was gonna say there's men too
that don't change, don't shift, don't heal the trauma, that don't fix the toxic portions of their personality,
right?
And they end up being alone into perpetuity, or being in shitty relationships. They don't have happy families, right? Like, so I think that there's, you know, just like we talked about earlier, there's men and there's dudes out here that have issues, and we all kind of need, you know, like I say on the channel, I walk into a room of 100 people, 80% of the people are past due on therapy.
Oh, for sure.
Way past due.
I don't understand why people don't really look at, you know, the like getting therapy, period. I don't understand why people frown upon that, or there's nothing wrong with me. Bitch, everybody got problems.
Well, it's because people don't want to change, and they don't want to be accountable within the wrong that they might do.
That's the thing. A lot of people are not accountable for who they are.
And here's the thing is, I think wholly, truly healed and joyous people were introspective at one point. Because just to think that you pop out the best version of yourself, I think is, you know, and especially now being exposed to and experiencing the myriad of different images and diversity of opinions and the media, right? Like it's gonna sway how you particularly think about things. You know what I'm saying? and it may not be akin to who you are at the root. Let's finish up the video, and then we'll circle back.
What made you dress?
What made you dress like this?
Harlot wear.
Answer that question. What made you?
I dress like this because I can dress whatever I want to.
Sure.
Period.
Won't pick
but what
you.
made you dress like this?
Let me ask you. Do you
Why
believe?
put on this striped shirt?
Let me ask you. Do you believe in God?
Yes, Jesse.
God.
Would God want you to be a slut?
Uh-oh.
God would want me to be whatever I want to be.
Would He want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be.
How about a slut?
Whatever I want to be.
And why would He want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be because God believes in choice. And you should know that, Jesse. That's why you're allowed to wear this lame-ass shirt.
Would your parents be happy to know that you're a slut?
My parents will be happy to know that I'm a free woman on a billboard in Times Square in Soho for every reel because we take back the woman form and we ain't lame dudes like Jesse wearing striped shirts.
All right, thank you so much.
God bless America,
Super entertaining.
home of the free. Does that make you proud to see what we just witnessed? Does
God want you to be a slut?
That's a good question.
Well, I do get what she said. God wants you to be, wants you to have choice. I don't really get the slut thing. I'm not gonna call myself a slut, honestly. But
What do you think is a woman's goal on this planet?
there's no just one thing.
What do you think is her ultimate goal and purpose?
To nurture
Nurture what?
anything and everything she can.
So plants?
Plants, absolutely. Men, women, children, just anything. Definitely to nurture. I definitely think that that's a woman's goal, is to nurture whatever is in life. Whatever is bestowed upon her, she is to nurture and to, what is that word called? Not make plentiful, but it's in the Bible. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Haven't read it in a while. So you think it's to nurture anything?
Like,
You don't think that it's something that's specific to what she can attain or a family? You think it's just to nurture things?
what's bestowed upon her, which is could be a family, or they could be just plants. It could be freaking dogs and cats.
When you say
Like-
bestowed upon her,
like what God gives her, what God allows.
does God give you things or do you earn things?
I definitely think you earn things,
Okay.
but it's given to you through the work that you put in.
Absolutely. So the work.
Yes. Okay.
And
yes.
and if the
To
work
nurture
in your
the work,
life
yes.
only allows you to love plants, do you think that that's a successful life?
If that's what God chose for you, then
What do you
yeah.
mean? No. Let's take God out of this because it's the assumption that everything is laid out for you. I'm much more on the idea that you can create the path ahead of you by the works, just like as you talked about.
Okay.
So if your life that you were created and the womb
you
that
don't-
you were given,
Okay.
right, is never utilized, right? Do you think that is, and it's like not all, you know, but the majority of women, I would say, would want to be married and have a family,
Yeah.
right? Because then they can nurture and continue on their genetics, the evolutionary, and just like the biology of who that person is, right?
Men
We are
want the
wired.
same.
We are wired for sex, and to have it. But our plumbing is different. But we can get into that in a quick second. But if you think about the goal of life, it is probably to produce more life.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't agree with the idea that it is to nurture everything and everything around you. I think that is to a
nurture
degree
and
kind
to,
of a.
and to make more of it, like okay, like
So-
like okay, like
Nope.
to produce.
So getting to the question of if a
Yeah,
woman can only looks back on her life and has only had the opportunity to
nurture
plant seeds and nurture plants, do you think that that'd be a successful life or an unsuccessful life?
Per the woman, it could be like my answer.
Do you think it would be
doesn't
a
change there.
successful life or an unsuccessful life?
Successful? If that is
There it is. All right.
Like,
listen.
that's where I'm at. I mean, because
Listen.
everybody's different. Would it be a successful life for me if that's the only thing I did? No. But for the next woman, it could be. So I'm not going to knock that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the thing is that, you know, I think people in general, there's certain things that can make them happy, right? Like the majority of Americans like ice cream. It doesn't mean everybody likes ice cream. So you can generalize for the mass of women what would make them successful. I can tell you what, if the mass of women were okay with raising plants, the human race wouldn't continue.
That's different.
No. But here's the thing. I think that you give allowances to women's choice. But I think if you give allowances to women's choices, but you're not looking at the conclusion of what those choices are in general, in mass, then I think it doesn't hold women's feet to the fire. It doesn't hold them accountable within that. Because then there are those that will get to the end of their life and look back on that shit and said, damn, if I only fix these toxic behaviors within myself, damn, what if I treated this particular dude in my life better who, treated me like X, Y, and Z? Or damn, 25% of women will not get married. Excuse me, only 25% of women will get married, 1 in 4. Okay. And I'd argue that upwards of 90% have a goal of getting married. So it's like, of that, what is happening that they are not able to achieve that goal?
Maybe they're not getting therapy. They're not working on their childhood traumas.
Well, yeah. Well, I
think that's men and women though. Like when you say it, I know we're talking about women because it's a slut walk, but like everything you say, I'd be like, yeah, men too. I don't know why, but that's just where my mind goes.
Well, I think it's less so for men.
It's less so. I don't think all men want to get married for sure. I definitely agree with that. But I think men
can live a happier life alone than women can.
I also think that men need more therapy than women do, because women, we constantly talk about how we feel. We are always letting our emotions out, but men, you guys do not process them. Say you were in a relationship and they left you. What are you going to do as a man? You're going to bounce more likely as a man than a woman. You're going to bounce right back on to the next woman, and you're never going to process that. So all of the hurt that you had from her leaving you, now somehow you're projecting that onto your next relationship. Because
you don't think both do that?
Yeah, but I think more so men do. I definitely think
because they don't talk about the trauma.
Because they don't talk about it. Because they literally just oh, nothing's wrong with me. I'm good.
You know what?
I'd be like, no, I'm fucked up.
I can't disagree with that. Just for the sake that men have been conditioned to
be macho and
also I think men love harder than women.
That's why I think men need more. Like men are more
need
likely
more therapy
to
for
need
it.
More therapy because
I can't disagree.
They need somebody to help pull those things out of them, or to be able to provide them with different ways of thinking and understanding themselves, instead of just being like, oh, well, I was taught not to talk about my feelings. I was taught to just put them to a side. I was taught that I can't cry or I can't feel sensitive about something, when in reality, you being taught not to do those things is very toxic towards your adult life.
Well, here's the thing, is I think that men need more reactive therapy to trauma that has happened to them in their life.
Yeah.
I think more women need proactive therapy because of the images, the bullshit, the lying, the pandering that you guys are fed daily that leads to unrealistic standards, unrealistic expectations, and a delusional understanding of who men are, what they can provide, and what you amount to.
That was definitely something for me. Like I had to get into therapy because I'm like, who am I? You know what I mean? Like trying to allow other people or how other people are in my life to determine who I am or what my worth is. And I was like, oh, something's not right. Obviously I'm depressed, I'm stressed. Then I had to like get into therapy, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, like I'm good alone. You know what I mean? But I wasn't there by myself. I didn't get to that mental state by myself.
So you would promote therapy?
Absolutely. Everybody watching
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did it help you?
10 plus for sure. That made a huge difference for me. If I didn't get therapy,
you'd be in a rut. Forever
yeah, a forever one. Like I'm constantly growing. I know that I need to continue therapy. I know that there's going to be things that I need to overcome later on in life. You know, yeah, I'm getting over childhood traumas, but there could be things going on right now that when I'm later in life, I need to be able to process. But that's real. It made a huge difference for me. And I know who I am. I know my worth. And it just keeps growing from there.
There it is.
Maybe
Des.
she might need therapy.
I think both of them need therapy.
Jesse.
Jesse's hilarious though.
He is.
I watch his channel for pure laughs. Like if I'm just just bored and I go over to his channel and just
funny. She was
laugh.
Quite entertaining too. He did.
She was very entertaining. Yeah, she was very funny.
She should start a show.
Dest. We did another one.
Yay!
Listen, I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate
Thanks for having me.
your truths. Okay, I think it's very important to talk from experience.
Yes.
To assess this crazy world that we live in.
This slut world.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to block out all of those words because YouTube may not like that word. Okay.
Slut.
Oh wow. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Guys, feel free to hit me up. Got an Instagram at Mediocre tutorials and reviews. It's long, but you know how to spell. If you don't, link down the description box down below. Feel free to hit me up. Anything else to say? You don't gotta say shit if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm hungry, so.
Oh, me too. Until next time, YouTube.
Jesus.
Peace.
Time to go. That was great. We did a good job. High five.
High five.
Oh shit! How long were we sitting?
I don't know. Shit, it's like, is that super warm over here? It's like a little. It's like,
Shut
you
up.
all right?
Yeah.
Jesus.